Lowell. The Tri-Creek School Corporation, student, staff, and community endeavor to be recognized leader for high achievement and exceptional growth. Innovative and equitable approaches built upon a strong community pride and provide all students with well-rounded educational experiences to prepare for future successes. Engaged to learn, equipped to achieve, and you all say,
empowered to succeed.
That boy. If I had a button, I'd give it to you. Welcome, everybody. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda? No? Alrighty. No public comment for agenda items. Superintendent's report?
Yeah, so we'd like to start off by talking about the preliminary review of the budget reduction plan. And I'll just tag team with Dana here. Obviously with the failed referendum and ESSER grant funds that will be disappearing after the next year, our district will be faced with major reductions in our budget, as you all know. There's a lot that has to happen in order for us to get a clearer picture of the approach to that. So I think the first question on the table is, as we've had staff that have gone and we have opportunity to post positions, do we continue to fill those positions, or do we allow attrition to start taking effect so that then potentially in 1 year now we're not laying off as many people? And so with grant money, sometimes there are stipulations. There's a term called supplement, where you have existing staff and you supplement additional staff with grant money. That sometimes is allowable. And then sometimes in grants there's a term called supplant. And supplant is when, okay, we currently use local funds to pay for this position, but now that we got grant money, we're going to pull back on the local funds and allow grant money to come in and pay for it. So, talking to Dana this afternoon, she is in the mindset that we may be able to use some ESSER funds to supplant. And if that is the case, then I think that we probably will look at maybe holding off on our hiring in preparation, and will also save local funds in preparation for the future. So we're taking a look at that. I've already given the principals a heads up on some of those positions to start wrapping their minds around what will the impact be for the coming school year. And then in the second week of July, we're going to get together and have those conversations. Also in July, or end of June, going into July, Dana, you have some things coming up that's information that you currently don't know, but you're going to be finding out.
Yes. Late June, we have our Department of Finance workshop that goes on June 28th in Indy. That's where we meet with the DOE. They go over the funding formula that was set forth by legislation. They release the simulations that we can use. There's a tool that we use where we can put in different types of ABM or counts that are in our CTE courses and such, and we can get simulations of what our funds will look like for the 23-24 school year. They won't release 24-25 the second year or the second half of the calendar year budget until next year this time. So it's kind of wonky that we deal with both calendar year and fiscal year at the same time. But that's our first step when I can actually start running some simulations. Second step would be sometime in August, we will get our assessed value. Assessed value plays a part in our operations fund. It'll tell us how much money we'll be able to raise through the tax levy. What I'm seeing right now is that the limit of 4% on our growth in operations fund seems to be all that we'll be able to There was a chance that maybe we might be able to apply a waiver since our AV's been growing and growing. Prior to July 1st, we could get like 8% according to the way the laws are written. They changed that now, and it's looking like we're limited at that 4%, which is really a sorry thing because that helps our operations fund, which in turn helps education fund because we don't have to funnel as much money from education over to operations to support that fund. So it's a key point in August for us to get that AV to find out how it all plays in the budget. So that's step number 2. Step number 3, major one, would be our count day, of course. We'll have prelim numbers, but our count day is October 2nd. They made it later this year, which is, I don't know why. I'm not quite sure what the reasoning was behind that. It was 2 weeks earlier, which helped in the budget process. We have to have our calendar year budget approved by November 1st before November 1st. So it's kind of hard not to know your true revenues until that date locked in. We'll be close enough. We're not going to find 100 kids in the closet here or anything like that. It's going to be pretty solid and we'll know it, but that's another key day in the whole process too.
And count day is important because that's the dollar amount that you get for each kid.
Yes, yes.
And that really is the funding formula.
Right. So those are the 3 key points that I'm working on pulling together. My office, and I'll be working in June and July on building our expenditures, pulling that together, pulling together some simulations, because within that time frame of June to October, we also have negotiations going on as well. That starts in September. It ends by October 15th. So that's a key component that we have to be ready for that. We have our numbers set and get some ideas, but it's kind of hard because you won't know how many kiddos you have and all. So we'll be working.
So you can see there's some big items. I think once we get into beginning of November, we'll have a much clearer picture of how much to cut and what areas.
I hope they have, in August, we spoke about having a work session
Yeah.
to work through some ideas and stuff, go over our contract, because of course, the teacher's contract is a large portion of our budget, so we want to be knowledgeable on what our contract is, to do a work session on that, because I think that's something we need to be knowledgeable of.
And we've been planning to reach out to the teachers union in July to start finding out what's important to the union. Because that gives us better direction of how to be a player focusing on and that'll help frame out everything else. So anyway, I was glad that you presented the question, Katie, about do we start to pull back. I really thought we were under this plant rule, and it appears that we may not be, and so that does change things. That way we're not walking away leaving money on the table with our parents. So, that's that. The second item on the superintendent's report is an update on the Lake Prairie project, and so I'll defer to Dana, and I see that we have Mr. Walker in the house.
Yeah.
To,
So we have an update here. Are you driving?
okay.
Okay, there we go. So we have our Lake Prairie HVAC project going on. We're now into phase 2. We completed phase 1. Phase 2 is now pretty much, I like to call it total destruction of the building, because you'll see some pictures here of what they're actually doing inside the building. So they've been working on, during phase 1, it was all behind the scenes stuff that they could do with the children in the school, and now that the kids are out, we are able to take ceilings down, do floor coverings and all that kind of stuff. So currently right now, the update as of on Wednesday of this week, we have our ceilings open, our floors protected, attic fan controlled units are installed, cold water piping installed in the mechanical and halls, air handlers are installed, energy recovery wheels have been installed, condensers, or not the condensers on the roof, what was it?
Energy recovery.
Oh, the energy recovery wheels were installed on the roof, sorry. And boilers installed, and then pumps for the hot and cold water was installed for running for the system there. Future work, part of this included in here is the LED work too in the buildings. as long as we've got the ceilings open, we're putting in LED, we're doing the controls like we have over at Oak Hill and Three Creeks. So we haven't started that part because they're still working in the ceiling in a substantial way. And we are on track for substantial completion by August 16th and a nice cool building by then too. I'm looking at him because he's the one that's gonna have to make it happen. So we have some pictures of the work that's going on here. So when I say total destruction, you see they moved in there within 3 days of them, of the school, being vacated, and they just jumped in there and took ceilings out, protected the floor in here, walls are all protected. This is a picture of the music classroom. If you've ever been in the music classroom, that's what it looks like now. So that, actually go back one there, Andy, real quick on the music classroom has an angled ceiling, and we had some low clearance in there for everything. So we're lowering the ceiling about 3 inches so that we can gain some more space for everything that has to go into the ceiling for function for Jason's crew to get in there as well. So we're adding height in there for a bit.
Are they all getting new ceiling tiles then too?
Yes. Yes, they are. This is when the crane was out there, throwing the energy recovery wheels on the roof there. That's quite new. And then we've got our carrier air handlers here installed. This blew my mind. I don't know if you've ever seen a boiler in school or if you saw the one that was at Lake Curry before this. Holy cow, these are gorgeous. If there's ever such a thing as a gorgeous boiler,
That's it.
that's it right there. I'm telling you, because the ones we had like open flames.
They were still floor mounted with open flame like your house furnace, and they were all just connected to it, 6 banks on each side.
Yeah, so that's a sight for sore eyes there. It's gorgeous. And then here the hot and cold water pumps installed as well. For the 6th classroom addition update here. So we are design and development's complete. Skillman's estimated of work is complete. I met with them on the budget, and we have a game plan for that. So the budget was reviewed last week. And then we sent notice to bidders to the Times and Post. We're publicizing on the 21st and 28th, and I think one paper is actually the 20th and the 27th. They could get it in earlier, but we'll have on June 28th, we'll do a pre-bid conference at the at Lake Prairie with all the contractors to walk through and see the project, and then we'll do our bid opening on July 18th. With the hopes of bringing you the recommendation on the 27th for awarding that day. On August 2nd, we'll notice to proceed and construction will start, and we'll finish sometime in May of 2024. Again, that's a 6th classroom addition on the backside there with other improvements to the courtyard and moving the basketball court. Anything to add?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I think you got it, unless you guys have questions.
So the opening of the 24-25 school year is going to have a lot of excitement. All right, thank you for the updates, BG. Well, my notes are coming up, so I'll give you an update with Gibraltar. They are going to plan to come give us an update on the July 13th board meeting. There will be a work session if the board is available at 5:45 that evening. So it's the second Thursday in July, 5:45. Does that work for everybody? It'll be an hour and 10 minute work session. They will have a good handle on budget estimates, a good spot on schematics, and they might have a better idea about the timelines for bidding and starting the project. So
the 13th.
Yep. And then we have the regularly scheduled board meeting at 7 o'clock.
I'll be here all day, I guess. We have an OIS meeting though too.
You will deserve it.
That would be nice.
Let's see here. What else did I have listed here? video that I want to share with you because it is a major talking point right now.
In a live town hall event, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., one of the most famous names in all of politics, facing off one-on-one with voters. Elizabeth Farkas hosts Wednesday at 9, 8 Central, only on News Nation.
Summer has just started and school districts across the state are working to fill positions, which many have been vacant since the pandemic.
During COVID, we had a very drastic change in the world of education.
Keith Gamble is the president of the Indiana State Teachers Association. He says at the rate jobs are opening up, we could see permanent substitutes while districts try to fill vacant positions. There are around 1,900 teacher vacancies in the state.
It will have devastating effects for some of our students.
He says teachers are simply not coming back. Between the complaints of low pay and larger classrooms, many teachers are looking at other options.
When you have an issue where you have more folks leaving the profession and fewer entering, that's where you come up with the deficit that we're seeing.
He says many teachers are choosing to wait until a private school position opens up, which could give them more pay and smaller class sizes. Parents we talked to today say they're hoping things will change.
I think if everyone sent their kids to public schools, the system would change. You know, if you had the Marie and Kessler parents sending their kids to IPS schools and neighborhood schools, I guarantee you the system would accommodate those parents because they have wealth, they have access, they have resources, they have social capital, they have things that matter.
Officials say the need is not just for teachers, they need bus drivers, custodial staff, and cafeteria workers. If you're interested in any of those positions, you can visit the Indiana Department of Education's website. In Indianapolis, Levi Harvey, CBS 4 News.
You pull over and call for roadside assistance. My car was on hold, probably.
As a middle school principal 10 years ago, there's no exaggeration that for one posted social studies position, I had 450 applicants. That seems like an exaggeration, but that is honestly not true. Today, we have teacher vacancies, and we might garner 3 applications. And for a particular position, out of 3 applicants, the minimum years of experience has been 4. So nobody fresh out of college, and out of the 3, they're already working in other schools. So that means we hire them, and there's another school that has a vacancy that has no pool. That report is very real. So not only is there the shortage, then there's the whole referendum factor that we all know. Teachers are accepting our positions when we offer them the job, and turning around a day or 2 later and jumping ship and getting hired by a school district that has passed a referendum because they can make more money. And so, why do I share that with you? I share that with you because I think you need to know. It's a different day and age, and it's kind of depressing. So when we go into teacher negotiations, you know, it's important that the board and admin have a mindset. We need to do as much as we can to make it appealing to drive to Lowell, because I'll tell you that people who are applying to our jobs down here are people who are from Lowell or have some kind of connection, and they want to work in their community or go work where their kids go to school. So, which is nothing wrong with that, but our pool is very shallow. So I want to give you the update on things. And that is all I have for the superintendent's report.
Thank you. Board member report, anybody?
We are making progress in our LIS meetings. Moving forward with ideas, just plans and protocol and procedures when it comes to schedule and things like that. So it is coming along. We do have meetings scheduled all summer so that we can work on them.
Cool. Thank you. Alrighty. Approve the minutes of the meeting held on Thursday, June 8th, 2023.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Okay. I couldn't hear you. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes. Personnel. All right. Replace the vacant Lowell Middle School social worker position with a student support behavior specialist position.
Yeah, so, what I just talked about with teacher vacancies, support staff as well. So hiring is everything. It's important as you have opportunity to hire people that you come at it with the hopes of helping to build a dynamic team. We held some interviews for the social work position at the middle school. And not being overly excited with the interview process, embracing our guiding principles to focus on solutions and think outside that box and be creative. So I recall an email that I had gotten a while back from someone who was a BCBA and expressed interest in working in tri-creek schools. And so, trying to think outside the box, maybe there's potential here to fulfill the same need. So, I want to walk through the student support services from a district level to talk about the spectrum of services. So you've got guidance counselors, social workers, student support advisors, you've got board certified behavior analysts, and then we have Crown counseling. So backing up to guidance counselors, there's currently one guidance counselor at the middle school and 5 at the high school. High school historically has had 3 guidance counselors. In 2019, they added a 4th, and then in 2021, we added a 5th at the ESSER grade level. The middle school has 1 social worker. That social worker was in place beginning in 2019, so for 4 years. We also have a NICEC social work consultant. So that's part of kids' individualized education plan. They are written in minutes for consult for social work services. In 2011, each of our elementary schools added student support advisors. They have backgrounds in psychology and social work. Some are licensed school social workers, some are not. They fulfill academic, behavioral, and a smidgen of administrative duties. Because they're not necessarily, with the exception of 1, licensed through the Department of Ed, their title is support advisor, not necessarily social worker. But they take on a lot of those roles. Board certified behavior analyst is primarily someone who works more with data. So that observe, find out what are the triggers, why does someone behave the way that they do, what would be an appropriate response, let's develop a plan, let's track how does that plan work, and then basically rinse and repeat. BCBAs can provide coaching, provide that expert level advice that isn't a part of the social work training. However, BCBAs oftentimes will have their undergraduate degree in social work, or a portion of their master's degree is the same social work classes, but then they get the applied behavior classes as a part of that. So they've got a lot of the same training and can fulfill a lot of the role that our social worker here at the middle school would do, but can also bring something added to the table. We've seen that in our 3 elementary schools. So behavior specialists of Indiana, they're board certified behavior analysts. And so they have 2 that are assigned to Tri-Creek, and then also accompanying them are social workers and therapists that come work with our kids. We piloted it in the first year at 3 Creeks, and then we expanded to Oak Hill and Lake Prairie this past school year. We've had a lot of positive feedback as a result of that service. We also have Crown Counseling. So it's a third-party vendor. Sometimes portions of the expense comes through our school local funding. Sometimes it's through grant funding. Sometimes it's run through a family's insurance. We have had a waiting list for students to receive services for Crown Counseling. Sometimes they come here and provide services on our campuses. Sometimes the families go to the office in Crown Point. There is an ever-increasing need for social work and mental health services. I don't anticipate this need going away. You've got now documentation that cell phones, social media, screen time, electronic devices are a big cause for anxiety, depression. You've got an increase in vaping, and sometimes with vaping comes additional anxiety and depression as a part of that. And so kids have a hard time learning when they have a hard time handling their emotions, so I don't see that going away. There are the differences between guidance counselor, social work, and a BCBA, so you can see the differences in the degrees. Guidance counselors have a school counselor degree, social workers have a school social work degree, and then the BCBA has that graduate level certification. You can see the difference in the work. Guidance counselors are more career-oriented, what courses are you going to take, your post-secondary plan. Social workers are that school, home, community resource connection. Let's make the home visits, let's help the parents along in this. They're that ongoing therapy. They may have minutes designated with kids on a weekly basis, bi-weekly, monthly. They help with traumatic experiences. They do risk assessments. BCBAs, as I said earlier, it's a lot of big pieces of data, coaching, the kind of that expert level of behaviors. And then you can see the frequency, the temporary check-ins with counselors versus the ongoing treatment. So the counselors they can dabble in that confidential mental health, but they're not trained to the extent of the other two. I shared this with the board recently, so that's the BSI work that has taken place up through April 14th of this past school year. And so for the social worker here at the middle school, this past school year, this was the summary. Ms. Wearsby is the counselor, Ms. Noble was the social worker. Out of 420 responses, you can see the personal issues, the family, academic, and peer concerns. That 5th grade Lake Prairie, I think, is a 0.3 percentage of the time that you can't see. You can see where the students initiated the response, almost a third. Teacher initiated, social worker initiated. Sometimes kids just need a break. Parent contact, email, phone call, etc. So we have what we call Tier 2 intervention. So that would entail some small group sessions. Sometimes a group session might be, hey, we've lost a parent, we've had a death of a parent, or dealing with divorce parents. So oftentimes it's a common thread with the kids in the small group. And so there's some more information about the groups, the additional services that the social worker, you can can see how they are tying that into the community. And then the services for crime counseling, making those referrals and putting kids on a waiting list.
What's caring cabinet?
I am anticipating that the caring cabinet is probably like some snacks or.
It's personal, deodorant, hairspray, shampoo, soap, toothbrush, toothpaste, things like that the families may not be able to afford to buy for themselves.
Kids avoiding ridicule, perhaps body odor, bad breath. Like I said, hiring is everything, and so we have an opportunity to hire a BCBA in lieu of a social work position where we could still meet all the needs on the social work side, but add that red chair to the table to bring something different at the middle school level that we didn't have before. So we would refer to this position as the student support behavior specialist based on that certification. The undergraduate degree is social work and psychology, and the primary responsibilities are listed there, which basically are the same as the social work, with the added expert piece of being able to coach people at behavior analysis level. And that was a quote from Krista Whirling in regards to BSI and their BCBAs. And you can see what she had to say. So we're recommending to the board that you would be supportive of swapping out the social work position with a student support behavior specialist. Given the current job market, the applicant pool, and the
Motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. For 2, approve the elimination of the assistant principal position at the Lowell Middle School for the 24-25 school year and appoint Mrs. Gina McCarrick. Yes. I knew I was going to butcher that. I know your name, but then when I'm reading it, I can't do it. As the new Lowell intermediate school principal, effective with the 24-25 school year.
I'll make a motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I'd just like to comment. People might ask, well, why would you do this right now when you don't have a contract to offer? We would not negotiate the terms of the contract, the compensation, until we got through and had a better handle on our budget reduction plan. So we got through teacher negotiations to figure out the staffing for the intermediate school before we would frame that out. But we have somebody in-house who has done a remarkable job for us and has a lot of positive attributes to bring to the table, has been a part of the intermediate school committee, and this will help with the transitional phase of planning and preparation. When you've got your leader in place, then that person getting acquainted with spending this next year getting acquainted with all the 5th grade teachers, talk about how scheduling would work with the middle school principal, how functionality, so it just makes a lot of sense in a lot of ways. And so that's why we would recommend, we don't need to look outside when we know we've got someone sitting in front of us that can do the job well.
Absolutely. Alrighty. All in favor, say nay.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Number 3, approve the personnel report dated Thursday, June 22nd.
I'll make a motion.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I'd like to point out that we have in our audience today Allie Garrett. Ally.
Hello.
So Ally is on the personnel report. She is a BCBA that we would like to slide into that position that you just approved. Ally, would you mind just making a quick introduction of yourself and maybe your credentials?
You like put you on the spot.
I'm Allie, and I'm actually from Lowell originally, so I went to the old middle school before they tore it down and put this nice one here. But yeah, I'm a BCBA, so I've primarily worked in schools, clinics, homes, and I've worked with students with autism spectrum disorder a bit too, and I've done a little bit with the more mental health side too. So my undergraduate degree is in social work, and so I've worked really across the whole board with students from kindergarten through 21 to our transitions program in school in Indiana. So I'm really excited to work with you guys. So thank you for passing. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank
welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome home, yes.
Where was I? Did I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Oh,
Oh,
let's have the motion ready. There's somebody else on the personnel report.
okay.
I was like, there's another new face sitting over there. We didn't recognize, or I didn't recognize.
So we have in our audience Mallory Sipe.
Yes, you did great. Yeah.
Mallory, introduction, a little bit about your background.
Okay. I'm Mallory Sipe, our assistant, and I'm hopefully the lead students here at Lowell Middle School. I taught for 13 years. I taught elementary, my undergrads in elementary. I'm almost done my master's, will be done next month. I'm going for my master's online at Ball State for my administrative license. I've taught kindergarten, 2nd grade, 4th grade, 8th grade science most recently, so I'm super excited to be working with middle schoolers here. And I'm from Crown Point, so it's a close drive, right?
Where's my pen at?
I know a really great realtor who can find you a house. They just moved back to the area. We've lived in Indy for like 4 years and then moved back. My parents and my husband's family are all from Crown Point. So we live in Four Seasons, apparently right down the road from Terry. So, which is cool. But that's me. Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I will tell you what really came out as one of Mallory's strengths was her her understanding of mental health and restorative practices and working with social work and families and kids. So we're really excited about kind of that collaborative, caring approach, but with high expectations and still not afraid to implement the consequences. The tough love. Yes, the tough love.
Middle school sometimes requires that for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Good, that's great to hear.
Do I have a second?
You got it. I was gonna say you got it first.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes. Congratulations.
Welcome, everyone. There'd be no problem finding people these.
Alrighty, approve the Tri Creek Board of School Trustees meeting schedule for the 23-24 school year.
I'll make the motion.
A second?
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
All the changes before you were what we talked about the last meeting.
All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes. Number 2, approve the resolution 2023-07 authorizing the issuance of the individual procurement cards.
I want to thank you first for putting this on the agenda, even though it was late. We were going to put it on in July, but that would have delayed the rebate that we would be getting for this program. So it helps us out by getting it approved in June. We can get it moving, that the board's already, guaranteed it, that we can get our rebate. So little back history here. We've had an American Express card here in the district since 2015. Our activity on that card to start out with in the first couple of years would push us into, or did push us into a rebate program that we benefited from. But vendors don't use that as often and as frequently as a MasterCard or a Visa. So the rebate program kind of fell off the radar here for the district, and it's been a convenience thing for us. And And unfortunately, it's only been convenient for like central office, but not necessarily for the buildings or for transportation. We have a real need when our buses are going out of the area on overnight trips for the ability to purchase fuel, obviously. So Amex would not allow us that flexibility to issue a department card. It had to be secured in our names. So we've been on the search for a new card. We looked and we spoke with our bank Centier. They have a brand new program that came out, but again, they have a minimum threshold of about $25,000 a month that we have to put on a card in order to reap any benefit of a rebate. The BMO, Harris Bank, is a prominent vendor for schools in Illinois and in Indiana. They're one of the top sponsors of my professional organization, IASBO, and they service a lot of schools here. They know the school business, so they are able to issue department cards where we can use these in a flexible way. They have a pooled rebate program, which also brings in vendors that secure pricing that we can use the card on and still reap that benefit and that rebate as well. It's got an automatic draw, so it'll be paid off every month. We're not going to be carrying any balances here. We already have a very extensive credit card policy and guidelines that we implemented. I tightened it up in 19, I think it was 2019. And State Board of Accounts has taken that policy to other districts and said use it. So we know we've got a very solid policy on hand here and guidelines for use of the credit cards too. So this action tonight would allow us to start this card and get rid of our Amex card, which has been a problem since we got it.
Do we have a question?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Number 3, approve the request for a cash change bank at the Lowell Middle School in the amount of $1,000 for the 23-24 school year for various extracurricular activities, gate cash box, bookstore cash box, and concession box.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes. Number 4, approve the recommendation to declare outdated technology items as a surplus and obsolete.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes. Number 5, approve the donation of the,
This is the only one.
that's the only one?
Yeah. the only donation.
Approve the donation of 12 decommissioned student Apple MacBook Air laptops to the United States Navy Sea Cadets Corps Stars and Stripes Division to support the Lowell student program.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes. Number 6, approve the overnight athletic trip for the Lowell High School's boys basketball varsity team to participate in the IBCA ISAA Charlie Hughes boys basketball team showcase at Carmel High School in Carmel, Indiana, and Westfield High School in Westfield, Indiana from June 24th to the 25th, 23.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes. Number 7, approve the overnight athletic trip for the Lowell High School boys tennis varsity team to participate in the Noblesville tennis tournament in Noblesville High School in Noblesville, Indiana from August 25th to the 26th, 2023.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes. Number 8, approve the overnight athletic trip for the Lowell High School boys tennis varsity team to participate in the Crawfordsville tennis tournament at Crawfordsville High School in Crawfordsville, Indiana, from September 1st to the 2nd, 2023.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes.
Good to see these teams getting out and about and.
Yeah.
Let's say the good tennis teams around Indianapolis, so I like to go down there to those events.
Yeah, that's
Good.
You can do these two.
What?
I said, you can do these two consent items together.
Accept a donation from John Wachowski of Lowell, Indiana, in the amount of $750 to help fund the Lowell High School Red Devils EV racing team. Accept a donation from Casey's Cash for classrooms in the amount of $4.20 to be used for the Lowell High School student activities.
I'll make a motion.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes, I have to say, I was surprised to see this on here. The donation from John Wachowski was after somebody on Facebook made a remark after the failed referendum that why don't everybody go make donations if you want to support the schools. And he said, I would be in favor of doing that. I'm not in favor of people forcing me to be taxed. So I interacted with him a little bit, gave him the contacts he needed and didn't know if he would ever follow up, and he sure enough did, and that is awesome.
That is awesome.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, really cool to see.
All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Public comment for non-related agenda items. Nothing. The next meeting will be Thursday, July 13th. Anything else?
Now, I just want to thank the board for swapping out that social work with the BCPA. I also want to thank you for the questions that you did. It makes me a better superintendent, and it really affirms the decisions that we're making. So I'm expressing my gratitude.
Anything else? All right. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Welcome to our